Hello again, everyone. Thank you for continuing to join me. Very excited for this session today. We have a very good friend of mine, Olivia from Sawgrass. Hi, Olivia. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I love having you on my live. So you are the social media manager for Sawgrass, right?
Mhm.
And today you are going to be talking about how to market your sublimation business.
I am, yes.
All right. Well, with that, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
All right, perfect. So I thought I'd introduce myself a little bit just to get started. I am new at Sawgrass, so you might have seen me as well as my coworker, Allie. We've been on the social media page quite a bit recently, so we're getting excited to get to know everyone a little bit more and to get ourselves into the sublimation world even more. There's so much to learn and discover, but we've been having a really good time figuring out everything so far. Um, and with that, I am learning a ton about marketing sublimation. So I have been doing some marketing for about 5 years now. So I have learned a bunch of different industries, but sublimation is kind of my first time being in the crafting world. And it's been really interesting to kind of see how you can market your crafts and market your business. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. So that's some of the things that I'm going to jump in here today. And feel free to ask questions as we're going. I know Sprite's going to keep an eye on the questions for me and let me know if we're seeing anything in there. But I'm really excited to be able to give you some information and hopefully help you learn how to market your sublimation business, whether it's a small business or whether you're working on growing it to be much larger. We're hoping to be helpful today. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We'll talk about kind of what we're going to go through. First, we're going to talk about the reasons why you do sublimation versus anything else. We'll give you a couple marketing strategies on how you can market it. And then some example scenarios. We'll walk you through a couple different products and show you how you could market those products. And then I'll talk a little bit more about how you can translate the information in this presentation to your business specifically. And then, of course, we'll have some time for some closing comments and some Q&As as well. All right, so why sublimation? There's a lot of different reasons. The main reasons I've got listed here are personalization, full color, detailed prints, pricing, and that it's permanent. So I really want you to get your mind around the idea that these are your major selling points. So if you can kind of memorize and really commit this sort of stuff to heart, then you've got some major talking points that you can really market your business with. So personalization, we've already talked about how you can use these custom designs and you can take any image and put it pretty much on any product, any sublimation product. So any blanks. So you've got a lot of different options out there. There's the ability to go ahead and customize a name on an object. If you take a design and you change the color of something, that is all considered customization. So that's a really big selling point because not a lot of businesses can do that kind of stuff. Screen printing, it's going to cost you more to customize something. If you're doing vinyl, it's also going to take a little bit extra time and be a little bit more taxing in order to customize those things. So sublimation really opens the doors in order to do that. You've also got the option for full color. So any kind of color that, say, a business or a logo has, maybe you're making t-shirts for a sports team and they've got specific colors. You can take whatever color you need to and sublimate it and make sure that it's the same color every time. So that's a really great thing about the full color option of sublimation. You also have the ability to do some detailed prints. So you can do thin lines, you've got gradients, pretty much any image can be sublimated. So you're able to really open the doors for those detailed prints as well. And then pricing, like we talked about before, when you're customizing, it doesn't cost you really anything to switch out names or designs or change that color. So that doesn't cost you any extra money. So your pricing can be more competitive in compared to other businesses that offer this same kind of solution. And then, of course, lastly, that ink becomes a part of the product. So it is permanent. It's not going to come off. You don't have to worry about things scratching or peeling. So that's a really awesome point to make when you're marketing your business as well. All right. And the Sawgrass system, like how does this help you with your sublimation and how can you feel confident in it? So with Sawgrass, once you purchase your printer, you've got a lot of different things that help you advance more and make this a full business solution. So you've got your printer that's specifically designed for sublimation, which is really helpful that it's not made for anything else, just made for sublimation. So you know it's set to go for what you want it to do. And then also the ink that we receive or that we manufacture is going to be the same all across the board. So you're going to get the same color, the same quality every single time, which is a really great guarantee for you as a business. You know that every time you print with that cyan, you're always going to get the cyan. So I actually recently visited Sawgrass headquarters. And one of the things I got to do was kind of tour where they test and manufacture the ink. And that was something really cool for me to see and just really impressive of how much care they take into creating each of these batches. There's so much rigorous testing that goes into this. It is kind of insane how detailed they are to every little aspect and property of these inks. So you know that you're getting quality every single time. That was probably my favorite part of this trip to Charleston. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in this presentation. But just being able to watch that, it really showed the dedication that we have to making sure the inks are quality each time. You've also got that 2-year warranty. So for your printer, you've got it set, you've got peace of mind for those 2 years especially. And then also a free onboarding and tech support for the life of your printer as well. So you get a 1-hour session and then unlimited tech support as you work on your business. That was something I also got to check out while in Charleston. I got a 1-hour onboarding myself when I first got my printer, which was super helpful in getting me started because I, of course, was a newbie, didn't know what sublimation was. So that 1-hour onboarding session really helped me. And then I got to see a session now. So I've been with the company a couple months now. I understand sublimation. I've done a lot of my own projects. So I can kind of tell what's going on now. But being able to watch a 1-hour onboarding session with our support team was really informational for me. It is great how they are able to take whatever information you're giving them and really adapt your session to make it fit your needs as much as possible so that they can teach you as much as possible in that 1-hour session. So if you haven't taken advantage of that and you've bought a Sawgrass printer, make sure to go ahead and secure your 1-hour onboarding session. That's really, really helpful. All right. And then, of course, you've got design software, Creative Studio. Great option. It can be a free option if you'd like, or you can also upgrade to premium, which gives you thousands of customizable designs, which are really helpful to be able to ramp up your production, be able to give you a lot of things to produce, but also cut down on production time. You don't have to think about designing so many things. You've already got those designs loaded in. All right. Okay, let's dive into some marketing strategies on how you can get started. So we've already talked about your talking points for sublimation. Those are things, of course, that I said to memorize, know by heart, so that you can really commit that to memory. One of the questions that I've seen already in the chat was talking about how can you go ahead and bring your sublimation business to other local businesses? How can you collaborate with those businesses or even get your products into local businesses? This is the good way, is to know your talking points about sublimation so that you can show why your products are superior. So if those local businesses aren't showing sublimation products already, sublimation and the amazing properties that it holds are really what you're going to be able to sell your product on. So that customization and quantity pricing, you don't have to have a minimum in order to create. You can create 1 t-shirt, or you can create 100 t-shirts, or you can create 1 water bottle or 100 water bottles. It really allows you to keep your pricing competitive. You've also got color and personalization that you can work with as well. That allows you to open some doors. Those same things about it being permanent, machine washable, dishwasher safe, that kind of idea is a really helpful selling point as well. And then I want you to take a couple minutes and discover what makes your product or products special. And why are people supposed to buy your products over your competitors? What makes your products better than theirs? Is it because your quality's better? Is it because your pricing's better? Is your turnaround time quicker? Are you hand drawing things before you sublimate them? One of a kind, all kinds of information like that can be points that you can make to show that your product is the one people should be buying. All right. Oh, and one more point. We want to talk about being creative on how you can market to your different audiences. So we want you to really get outside of this idea of your product, let's say a water bottle, is not just a water bottle. Like, what more can that product serve, and how can you market it to different environments or to different audiences? So one of the examples is environmental, or you can do entertainment, decoration, business, gifting, memorabilia. There's a lot of different options. We know this is kind of a broad topic, so we want to dive deeper and give you some examples on how you can market to different audiences with different products. Our first example here is a tumbler. Okay, so typical marketing, cute tumbler to keep your drinks hot or cold year round. That's kind of a blanket statement that you could say about a tumbler, and it'd work for just about any tumbler. But there are a lot of other ways that you could market a tumbler, and we've kind of showed you here in this image as well. You can see that we've got two of them kind of represent companies. Of course, the Sawgrass logo right here, and then Apple Valley Orchards. Those are both ways that you can market for like company swag. So it's not just a tumbler to keep your drinks hot or cold. It's a way for you to market your business. So it can market your own sublimation business, or you could say, hey, Apple Valley Orchards, do you want some swag? We can create these awesome tumblers for you and your guests and whoever visits your orchards. So that gives you a really great way to market for swag for a company. Then, of course, I'm going to include bridal in just about everything. Bridal is a huge industry, and a lot of different substrates can be attached to the bridal, the wedding industry. So here's an example right here. Like, you can see that Sarah with the floral tumbler. You can see that in a bridal gift bag. You can see that in a Will You Be My Bridesmaid box. That kind of idea. It's a really great gift or memorabilia for your wedding. All right, and then we've got an environmental benefit. You know, they're reusable. A lot of people are concerned about the environment, and this is a great thing for them to be able to use. I know during COVID, it was a little bit tricky. A lot of businesses stopped taking your coffee cup and filling up your own coffee cup, but that's coming back now. We're seeing a lot more businesses allowing people to bring their own mugs, allow them to fill it up there at Starbucks or at 7-Eleven, that kind of idea. So that's coming back into popularity now. This last one here that I have is also a huge industry, career showcasing. I feel like all the time, so I used to work in the dental industry, and I used to do marketing for dentists. And I would see so much stuff about like coffee and scrubs or nurse life, dental hygienist life. Those are big things that people in those careers really latch onto. And I was surprised at how much dentists are willing to pay and are willing to invest in order to get some company materials or get some things that really promote dentistry. So tumblers like this are things that I saw all the time, where they would go and want to buy tumblers. They'd want to buy water bottles. They'd want to buy magnets, something that connected their business and showed off how proud they were to be in that career. All right. So that was tumblers. Let's move on to tote bags, because you could think this is just a tote bag and you could market it as just a tote bag, or you could also market it as a souvenir for a girls' trip or a reusable grocery bag. The VP of marketing here at Sawgrass has told us recently that where her parents live, they don't use grocery bags at the store. They're not available at the grocery stores anymore. You have to bring your own bag. So as we're moving in that environmental direction, you know, these tote bags could be very influential and be very popular as well. It could also be a beach bag that's customized, so you're not going to lose it at the beach because it's got your name all over it. And then again, bridal stuff, bridal bags, things for the bride to get, a gift for the bride, or something the bride can give to her bridesmaids. Very popular as well. So one of the things that I want to mention here is figure out your keywords and how you can market it. So this, of course, souvenirs are keyword. Oh, can't click on it. There we go. Souvenirs are keyword. In a grocery bag, reusable is our keyword. So that loops into the environmental. This loops into sentimental. That first point is sentimental. The second point is environmental. The third point is customization. So these are all key words that you can include in your descriptions of your products to really help market them. An idea to kind of help you wrap your mind around this as well is if you've ever searched for basically anything on Amazon, there's always that one or two Amazon listings that, let's say you searched for an umbrella. So you're just wanting a basic umbrella. Well, then there's always that one listing that says, cute and awesome umbrella that protects you from rain, keeps you dry, like has a big, long description of what it is in the title. And I'm not saying to put a big, long description in your title of what you're selling, because sometimes that can cheapen your product or make it look a little scammy. But I do want you to start thinking of your product like that. Like, what are all the different ways that you can market your product? Because what they're trying to do with their big, long title is capture you with any possible search you could put on about an umbrella. So whether you typed, rain waterproof, they're going to have something about that in your title. And they want to be able to capture you and capture your search and get you seeing their product from typing anything that has to do with an umbrella. So don't put all those words in your title of your product, but find a way, think of all those different things, all those different uses of your product. What could somebody be searching for where my product would be relevant? And start figuring out ways to market your product that way as well. All right, and example number 3, we've got the sign. So here's an example of a great wedding sign that you can turn into 2 different things. It's your wedding sign, but then it's also some decoration from your house. So the Wilsons aren't going to throw away this wedding sign after their wedding. They're going to put it in their home because it's durable, custom, full of meaning. It shows they're established in 2022. It's really cute and sentimental. So that's your job, is as the seller, to show the audience the versatility of your product, that there's different uses for it, and that it is, because it's sublimation, durable, it's customized, it's full color, it's stuff that you can use. So I recently got married a couple years ago, and at my wedding, we had a chalkboard sign. Now, I paid like $20 for this blank chalkboard sign, just a blank sign, and I had to buy the chalk. I had to make the sign myself. I had my mom make it because she has better handwriting, but I had to do it all myself. And I was still willing to pay $20 for just a blank chalkboard sign. Now think about if I was able to buy something like this, a full color design that I didn't have to make, and then that I could still reuse. Like, I'd be much willing to pay much more for a great sign like this. Unfortunately, I didn't know that much about sublimation back then, so I missed out on that opportunity. But my chalkboard sign didn't last even through the reception, and you can show that your sublimation sign is going to last for years to come. They're going to be able to use it for forever, and so it's more valuable, and therefore you can charge more money and make more. All right, so now to the tricky stuff, pricing, and how you can kind of decide what's going to work best as you're marketing. How can you price it at a good point that seems competitive and people are still willing to pay for it? So there's a couple ways that you can look at how you can price. The most basic and the way that I suggest to start with is look at your cost to produce and then mark up your costs by the industry standard, which is about 50%. So my example here is if you have a $10 product, it takes $10 to make with materials and your time, you think it's worth about $10. And then you mark that up by 50%, then you're going to be selling around $15. So that's a base point for you to kind of look at your products and see if it kind of matches within that. But even past that is you want to check out your competitors' pricing. So if you see someone else that's selling the same thing, but they've got it marked at $17 instead of $15, then you know that you can probably hop on that train and get it around $17 to $20 as well. So just as long as you're still in that ballpark of what's competitive, or if you're not in the ballpark of what's competitive, why are you not? Is it because your quality's better? Is it because your production time's lower? So just keep those in the back of your mind. If you can guarantee faster production, if you can guarantee even more customization, then you're good to go and you're able to mark it up at a higher price. And then it's going to take a little bit of messing around with it and playing with your prices to make sure that you are valuing your product correctly, but you're still able to get your name out there because your prices are competitive enough. You can play around with it a little bit and see if you can raise your prices without your sales dipping. Just be a little bit cautious as you're doing that. But experimenting is a really great way to see if you're able to raise your prices as well. All right, so let's take a look now at how we can make this work for your business. So I want you to take a second and think about your products, think about what you're making and how you're currently marketing them, and then try and come up with some of those other purposes. Do they have an environmental factor? Do they have a sentimental factor? Are they customizable in some way? What other purposes do they have? And I did include here to get creative, because I know since you're all sublimators, you got to be creative. Like you have to be creative in order to be crafty. So I know you guys are creative and can think of some different ways on how you can show more value to your product and how it would be applicable for other audiences as well. All right. And then once you've thought of those other purposes for your products, I want you to know your talking points for sublimation, like I've said before, and why specifically your products have those same properties. So if you're sublimating tumblers, you want to really show those detailed lines. You want to show the full color. You want to show what's beneficial about it. If you are using Creative Studio as you're creating things as well, you want to show it's very customizable, very quick turnaround time. I've got a million different designs that I can put on the same substrate. So you can show people those different customizable features as well. And then go ahead and double check your prices. Same thing that we just talked about on the last slide. Do they reflect the value of your products while still being competitive? And after all of that, go ahead and test some of these strategies. Playing around with the market and your products is a great way to find different audiences that you can reach. Sometimes you'll put something on there and think maybe it won't work, but somehow some little niche group finds your product and attacks it and latches on and you sell out instantly. So those are all great ways that you can kind of find ways to market your products and really utilize these marketing strategies in your own business. All right, those are kind of the details that I have for this presentation. That's the information that I have right off the bat. But I know we did have a couple of other questions that were asked too that I just wanted to run through really quickly. And then Sprite, as you see some questions, if you want to throw them in too, I'll run through about one or two, but then if you want to give me some other ones to answer, I'm happy to do so as well. Okay, so the first one that I noticed is what's the best way to market offline? And this question is kind of tricky because yes, there are ways that you can market offline, but in today's world, I really suggest you market online, which I know is not what you want to hear. So I'll give you some other examples of what you can do offline. The best way to market offline is word of mouth. So if you can get your products out there, if you can even get samples out to people, have them test some stuff out and start talking about it to other people. If you want to go to a brick and mortar shop and talk to them about your products as well, that kind of idea. Which leads me into another question that was asked is what do I suggest when talking to local businesses? I suggest creating a relationship with them. And of course, here's the thing. Like you heard, I've been in marketing for 5 years. So I am not the end all be all on this. If you want to test out other strategies, feel free to do that as well. But my suggestion is to go ahead and create a relationship so that these people know you're not in it just for the money or just for or for making product. You really want to be something that they feel comfortable investing in. And just as much as this is your business and this is your baby, if you're working with someone else, it's also their business and their baby. So you want to make sure everyone wants to keep their businesses safe. You want to make sure you seem like a safe and good option for them. So the best way that I'd say that is to create that relationship. If you want to start with an email, just pop by the store and say, hey, can I grab your email? I have a few things that I'd like to chat with you about. Send them an email, maybe drop in the next week and talk to them a little bit more about your products. Bring them a sample or two and say, hey, did you get my email? Did you see sort of what I'm about? Establish your credentials really early on and show why you're serious about things, why you're not just another salesperson trying to get your product into their stores, and why you really care about them, why you want to invest in them, and why they should want to invest in you. So use those same techniques. If they're not already selling sublimation materials, talk to them about the benefits of sublimation. If they are already using sublimation materials, then talk to them about your product specifically and why you are a better candidate for them. So if you're doing faster production time, if you've got that better customization, you're doing better quality, those are all the great answers to give them as well. One last question that I saw before I'll ask you again, Sprite, what other questions are there? But one of the other questions that I saw was, what social media should I start with? Or how should I gain a following on social media? How can I do this if I'm just starting out? And my suggestion is to look at what audience you're trying to reach. If you are, and that will determine which social media platform you can really focus on a lot. I will tell you one thing that's interesting is TikTok has recently surpassed Google as the most populated website. So the place online where the most people are, it's no longer Google, it's now TikTok. So that gives you a little bit of information about a great platform to get started on. But I know TikTok's not for everybody. TikTok's purely videos. So if you're not into videos, then there are some other options like Facebook and Instagram are the other two that I would suggest. Check out either one of those and think about, would my audience be on Facebook or would they be on Instagram? If you're planning on reaching an older audience, then I'm going to suggest Facebook. If it's younger, then it's probably going to be more Instagram. So those are both great things to check out and look at. Facebook's been around for a long time, so it has a few more things that you can utilize, such as Facebook groups that aren't so much a thing on Instagram. But in order to build that following, there are, both on Facebook and Instagram, ways that you can kind of infiltrate communities, if that makes sense. So of course, Facebook groups, really obvious. You can go into those communities and you can look at the people in there and you can talk with them, create relationships with them, and bring them back to your site. Let them know, like, hey, I've also got a site about sublimation. I'd love to hear your feedback on it, or I'd love to just get you involved. If you're at a trade show, if you're at a craft show, if you're at a farmer's market, anything like that, just have people right then and there go ahead and pull out their phones and hey, give me a follow on Facebook and let me know what you think and stay in touch with me there. That's a great way to get people to follow you there. And then on Instagram, ways that you can kind of infiltrate communities is hashtags. Hashtags are a lot more popular on Instagram, a lot more useful, I feel like. So getting into those hashtags, finding the sublimation hashtags, the threads, finding people that are in there and talking about it, and then inviting people back to your page. It's okay to invite people back and to encourage people and ask people for feedback on how your page looks, and also to ask people to collaborate with you. So just as you would ask a brick and mortar store about what they think about you, and if you can bring your products into their business, you can do the same thing on Facebook and Instagram. If someone else has a business on Facebook and you want to work with them, go ahead and ask them. Reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to do a giveaway collaboration? Or hey, do you want to do a Facebook Live with me? Hey, do you want to work together and create a tandem post? There's ways on Instagram now that you can post something with another account. So those are all great ways to kind of include other people and bring other people to your pages and into your communities so that you get seen more often. I hope those helped answer some questions and gave you a little bit more confidence. But Sprite, do we have any other questions as well?
Yes, we do. First off, can you email me your presentation so that I can post it in the class?
For sure. Yes.
Great.
Definitely do that. I'll send it right after.
Excuse me. Okay, so I have a bunch of questions. Do you think it is better to set up a social media as a business or as an individual?
Okay, so there's a couple different ways I would go about this. If you do have a business and you are planning on using social media to sell some different things, definitely set it up as a business. Facebook actually really prefers that you have your business profile and you're answering as your business and keep it really clean and organized. So I do suggest setting it up as a business, but that's not to say that you can't have multiple accounts. Say you've got your business account set up where you want to sell and really market your own thing, but then you can also have your personal account set up as you yourself and just say, hey, I was making some tumblers today, you know, come along with me as I make some tumblers. Here's a photo of my craft room. You know, all those kind of behind the scenes things are good also to have on a personal account. You can combine the two and make it all under the business. I do kind of suggest having it all under a business if you are planning to sell a bunch of things on social media. It just looks a little bit more professional if you're reaching out to other people trying to collaborate to have that business name on top. That's my suggestion. But of course, a personal account is also usable and also helpful with marketing.
Excuse me. And you already answered this one. The best online marketing forum for sublimation. And like you said, it really just depends on who your target audience is for sure. I know we've started a TikTok account and thankfully I have a lot of people that like making TikToks. So it works. It works pretty well. Are Google AdWords worth using?
So that is a good question. So this kind of goes into a larger topic of organic versus paid advertisement. I've used Google Ads in the past before. They are helpful, but I really, really suggest starting organically. So if you can start organically and gain that following, gain sort of some traction organically, you're going to be rewarded for it just based off of the algorithms on the different social media platforms and also on Google. But if you do, like, you're not really seeing the traction, you're not gaining so much, you can start using paid advertising. And Google Ads are great, but I do suggest kind of using Google Ads if you do have a brick and mortar store that people can actually go and visit. Google My Business is more for those location stores. But that's not to say that they couldn't be helpful. It kind of depends on your business and where you're at in your process of marketing it. They are useful and I have seen success from them, really great success. But again, really suggest that you start with that organic growth because once you start paid advertising, you kind of have to continue it for the foreseeable future in order to continue to receive those results. And to see that gain in advertising. If you pay for a little while and then you drop off, you'll see your engagement dip a lot as well. So just prepare for if you start paying then you've got to kind of be consistent about it and continue paying, which can be worth it for some people. But if you're just getting started, really start with the organic stuff.
Yeah, and Google Analytics is a great place to start. They have the free keywords that you can use, and it's free. So, and that's a really great way to grow your organic traffic as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is there a value in the occasional sale? And is it better to go by a percentage off of the original price or by a set sale price?
So this is also a little bit tricky, depending on what you're selling and how often you're selling as well. So I can't give an exact answer. It would kind of be situational based. But can you go ahead and read me that last part of the question again too?
Is it better to go by a percentage off the original price or by a set sale price?
Yeah, that is tricky, depending on your business and what you're trying to do. And I don't want to
So,
give you something and it not work. But
so I would say most people are visual. So,
mhm,
you can say 10% off and that may work, but I think a lot of people like to see, $25 off, or, it's now on sale for this price, because a lot of people don't like to do math. So, but like you said, it also, it depends on the situation as well.
right. And it depends on your original price of your product too. Um, yeah, that's tricky. But I do like your answer, Sprite. Yeah, people want instant understanding of what things
Yeah.
are. So if you're asking people to make these math equations work in their head, then you're going to lose interest a little bit quicker.
And 10% is easy to do, but if you're doing 15%, then they're kind of like, well, I don't know. I mean, at least I would be. I don't know what 15% off is.
I
How
can
do
get
you?
10% and 50%, but otherwise I'm like, let me pull out my calculator.
Yeah. How do you calculate labor costs?
That's a great question. So it's kind of depending up to you on how much you want to work for, or how little you're willing to work for as well. That's one place that's really kind of dependent on you. But I personally wouldn't do it for any less than $15 an hour, just based off of what it takes to sublimate here. I think that's kind of like a good and reasonable place to start. But also sublimation, doesn't necessarily take that long. You input a design, you print it, and then you press it. And then your product's pretty much done and ready to go. But you've also got to include your packaging time and the time it took you to design something. So it's really up to you on how much you're willing to work for, or how little you're willing to work for. But for me, I'd probably set my rate at least at $15 and above.
How much would you add on to retail pricing if something is personalized?
Yeah, that's also a great question. Again, I feel so bad for saying it depends on each situation. But if you're just personalizing a name, or if you're personalizing just switching one color, then I would say maybe add a couple dollars for each product. So if you're customizing a name each time, say it's $2 extra for name customization. And that takes you very little time to be able to do, but still keeps your pricing a little bit competitive. If you're switching a lot of things, making a completely different design for every single water bottle that you're sublimating, or every single magnet you're making, then you can kind of look at it and see how much time. Is it just a design I can pull from Creative Studio and switch out really easily? Or is it a design that I'm going to have to pull in, change a lot of things, and then print, and keep them in order as I'm sublimating each thing? It depends on how much time it's taking you and how much more difficult it's going to make the process. If it's a lot more customization, then you can look at adding, $5-10 for each different product for major customizations.
And I had a question about, how does Google Analytics work? There are so many classes that you can take online that go over Google Analytics. not an easy thing. None of the Google ads or analytics are easy, but like I said, there are many classes you can take. There's YouTube videos you can watch, and it is an incredibly valuable free tool to use for your business, for sure.
Absolutely. And that's another good point, is that there are a ton of places where you can get free data on how your marketing's going online. Facebook does it, Instagram does it, TikTok does it. You just have to change your accounts into business accounts, which is really simple. You can Google how to do that. But there is like countless data points. That's all free. So if you're not utilizing that, I really do suggest going ahead, switching your accounts over to business accounts and checking out that data, checking out to see what people are engaging with, where you could get more, where you could receive more engagement, because they also offer suggestions as well in that data. So those are all really great resources too.
Let's see. If you cancel Creative Studio Premium, will you still have access to the artwork if it was saved in your creations?
That is a great question that I actually don't know the answer to. I've always had a Creative Studio Premium account, so I've never had to wonder about that. But I can find out information and Sprite, if you want me to email that over to you, to where you could get them back to them. That's a great question that I didn't know. Let me write it down.
I think somebody wants to know if Sawgrass is hiring and if they offer an employee discount.
I don't know if we're hiring, but you can probably check out our website for any information on that. I know we do have a careers page on our website, so you can check out there. I am lucky enough to be able to utilize the premium software because I have to use it every day for work. So that's what I get. But yeah, check out on our website to see if we're hiring. I'm not sure.
Somebody asked about recycling ink cartridges, and we actually at Condi, we have an ink recycling program where you can recycle your ink cartridges and you get a $5 credit for your next ink purchase. So you can check that out on the website. On the very bottom, I think it's just called Ink Recycling Program. So check that out. Yeah, we'd love to take your old empties and give you some credit for it. Let's see. There's a lot of questions. Do you think being very niche is the best way to grow a business?
That's a good question. And I think you can, and you can, that's one of the things you can experiment with and test it out for a while. That's another great point about sublimation, is you can flip your business in an instant. You know, you can be very niche and you can just, like my example before where I did marketing solely for dentists, you can be very niche and accomplish a lot and get a lot of return on investment there. But if you're trying it out and it's not working, you can flip the next day, you know, and open it up to every career that's out there, not just dentists. Or say you're marketing for the bridal industry and it's not really working, and now you want to take all those tote bags that you just bought for these bridal boxes, or all those tumblers that you just bought, and you want to flip it and you can sell it for company swag. You know, these the substrates that are out there are so versatile. Like, I haven't found a single substrate that isn't usable for more than one purpose. So if you want to test out a niche audience, go for it. I think it's a great place to start, a great thing to test out, but it's really, really easy. If it's not working out for you, don't feel like you're stuck. You can flip it the next day, and you've got, you know, the ability to print whatever you need to through your Sawgrass, and your heat press isn't going to care what it's pressing. You know, you're not stuck in something with sublimation. You'll always have the option to switch something up if it's not working.
Yeah, never pigeonhole yourself. Always be open. Always be open. This is a good one. Are videos best for marketing?
They are, actually. Videos do get a ton more engagement, because it's kind of that same thing that we were talking about, is instant gratification. When people see something and can understand it very quickly and don't have to read your caption or figure out what's engaging about this picture. If something's moving and can capture your attention quickly, that gets engagement, that gets seen more. And you see it with social media platforms. Facebook was very much like you're writing something or you're sharing a photo. And then we moved to Instagram, which is purely photos. We want more images. We want more instant gratification. But now we've got TikTok, which is only videos. And Facebook and Instagram and YouTube are all trying to catch up with the video thing, with Instagram Reels, Facebook Stories, YouTube Shorts. Like, we're moving in a video direction. So it definitely is good to go ahead and start producing videos. And that's not to say that you have to do a TikTok dance in order to get popular. Like, don't feel like you've got to make these trendy videos in order to really receive some engagement. You can just film yourself making a product, and that will get you some engagement as well. Is a great place to start, and something that's simple, that's not going to take a lot extra time. A lot of people get caught up in this idea that social media is going to take up so much of their time, but every single thing that you do can be created into content. So if you just want to set up a camera and record yourself making a product, that's content. That'll work. And especially if it's in that video format.
Yeah, and we all know sublimation, the best thing about sublimation is the reveal. So, I mean, even doing like a short, 7-second video of the reveal is, you'll get some traction from that for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, and you don't even have to have your face on the camera.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that's it. Oh, but first, I am going to give away a Christmas in July box. And so my winner for the Christmas in July box is Robert Harris. So Robert, if you would please email me, swood@condi.com. That's SWOOD@condi.com. Robert Harris. So yeah. And thank you, Olivia. It was great to see you again. And thanks for joining us. So,
of course, thanks for having me, and hope everyone has a great rest of the time with the classes.
Bye.
Bye.